Hey everyone, it's Phil Key from Nat Our Films Vlog. Thanks for tuning in. So, movie sequels. I did a podcast on this similar topic a few months ago, and I spot patterns and trends as you do. And ever since streaming services took off, there's a lot of heartbeat being given to sequels for films that were brought out decades ago. So this is not going to be strictly horror related, just so I can get my point across. So I'm going to name a few films. So Hocus Pocus 2, Beetlejuice 2, Practical Magic 2. These films originally didn't have any reason to continue. Now with Hocus Pocus, if you've seen the end of it, there was an open ending to it, if you will. There was going to be a sequel, and there was a sequel. However, because they waited that long, I believe, and a lot of other fans believe, it was rushed. It didn't have the same impact effect to it. Obviously, you can never replace an original film. The original will always be the best film. It's more of because they waited that long, and there's more generations now that they're trying to hook into, to pull into the franchise. It's lost its sort of original heartbeat, if you will. Half of the original cast isn't included anymore. And now they're making Hocus Pocus 3, and it's the newer generation that want it. I personally think Hocus Pocus 2, it was nothing like it could have been. It could have been really, really cool. And in my opinion, they just rushed it. And yeah, there was references to the original, but it just did not have the same effect in the slightest. Beetlejuice 2. Obviously, the script was in development hell for years and years and years. And if you do your own research online, you'll find that, there was crazy, wacky ideas to put together, and they just never got a green light for it. And it's understandable when you actually do the research as to why it never got green lit until now. Then you've got Practical Magic 2. Again, if you have seen the end of that film, because it's not horror, it was good as it was. It could have been left on its own, and now they've obviously bringing out a Practical Magic 2. Freaky Friday, again, not horror. When that came out, I enjoyed it. I thought it was just a funny bit of daft fun. And then they're making a sequel right now as we speak. And the reason I don't always agree with them doing this is because if it wasn't for the streaming services, I don't think they would be doing it. Streaming services are a lot less budget for the studios, because obviously you're cutting out the distributor, the cinema chain, you're cutting out all that. It's just the streaming service. Obviously you can just watch it from your home. It saves the studios money. However, does it spoil the quality of the franchise that it's trying to build upon? I think so. Now, there are other sequels out there, and franchises that have been made decades later. It's happening with countless other films that I can't remember to name. And I'm not going to say it's a dangerous game to play. However, if they don't get it right, I think it's often hit and miss. And I think it can end up alienating the fans, because when I did watch Hocus Pocus 2, I didn't know what to expect. But when I did watch it, the first viewing, I thought to myself, what the hell is this meant to be? You could tell it had been written for the new generations. It's as if like all the people, all the fan bases that have been asking Bette Midler to push Disney to create a sequel for years and years and years, it's as if we've all been pushed to one side. It's like, yeah, we're going to make a new sequel now, but we're going to aim it more at the new generation. Well, that's kind of disrespectful to the fans of the original, who have been with the original and supported it all the way through. Without the fans of the original, you won't have a sequel to have greenlit, and that is a fact. And then with Beetlejuice 2, everyone did want a sequel, but then you run into the technicalities. Obviously, the Maitland's characters, they can't age because they were dead, the ghosts. So how do you get around that? Well, the only way you can is to remove them from the storyline. And then obviously another character who shall remain nameless, of course, he was killed off. I don't know how they've done it, but it's in the trailer. You know, he's not in the story. And you start to think, did we need it? Do we need it? Now, obviously, because they've made it and it's coming out in September, people want to watch it. I do want to watch it. No one has seen it. No one knows what the ending is. Will Beetlejuice live? Will he die? Who knows? And it's that curiosity because we're seeing a brand new performance from Beetlejuice and the other characters, and no one's seen it yet apart from them. And yeah, that is something to really, feel excited about. But that's when you watch it, and that's when you think, right, is the excitement going to match the hype? And then obviously you get these people who turn around and might say, well, don't get yourself too excited, it might not be that good. And that's what I'm trying to get at. If it's going to be a hit or a miss, should they bother making it? Should they continue it, or should they just leave it be? There's a lot of films out there today that are called classics. A lot of films they remake and they reboot and they just backfire massively because they try and take it in an artistic direction, and you think, well, no, you didn't need to do that. And then you get these people that come along with new ideas for a franchise or for a reboot. It's like, but it doesn't make any sense. That's not how the original film or franchise started. So why are you changing it to something that isn't matched and compatible with it? And then obviously the counter argument to that is, well, let's try new things, or be positive. With filmmaking, when you watch a film as a child from a very young age, the nostalgia sticks with you. You might have your favourite character, your favourite line, your favourite scene, your favourite music, whatever. Carries all the way through though, emotionally. And then when you find out they're making a follow-up film 20 odd years later, it's like, is this a good idea? Is this going to work? And it's not so much a disappointment, but it's a hope that they do get it right. Hocus Pocus 2, in my opinion, they didn't get it right. Beetlejuice 2, I hope they do get it right. I hope it's as fantastic and as funny as the first film. Freaky Friday 2, I will be watching it and I do look forward to seeing it. But again, the characters have aged that much. Can they get a story right? And when I say the word right, people might think, well, what do I mean by right? When you have an original film, you remember it for what it was and for what it is. And there might be certain characters or a certain, element within the storyline that you want to see progress and continue. And when they do that and they turn into a second film or a third film, it's when they start adding newer things from the current generation and try and mix it with the older generation. It's like, is it going to work? I don't quite know. And it's more of, you don't want it to be ruined. And obviously these studios, they do get people to monitor social media to see what fans want to see what, content can be shot in, what characters can be written up, how the storyline can progress. Ultimately, if the audience doesn't like it though, you've lost. And sometimes I believe that they should just leave certain films be. And because of streaming services, I think we're going to see an avalanche of sequels and franchises from films from decades ago being made now. And in truthfulness, I'm skeptical as to whether it's the right formula to follow, because if you haven't made it in the last 20 years, does it still hold weight? Does it still hold water? Is it going to still, stand up to what it could have been? If they're going to make a sequel or a franchise, or, make it into one, I'd say they should do it from the first few months or years, not wait over a decade. And there's countless films out there that I could use an example where they have followed it on and it's just backfired, or they'll turn it into a TV series and that backfires as well. Obviously they're there to make money, you know, that's what they're all there for. They're there to entertain and make money, but ultimately sometimes I think it can backfire on them, and it can sort of not ruin as such, but it can what's the word, it can take away the movie magic that we felt for the original film, because they've waited that long for a sequel or for the franchise to be made. But that's just my thoughts on it, guys. Thank you everyone again for tuning in, and take it easy.